You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Say the word, yes.
Say the word?
What's your question?
What's the word I'm supposed to say?
I said say the words.
The words. All the words, or just a specific phrase that
Any of
you
them.
did not tell me that I needed to have
Say them all.
prepared? Is this my acceptance speech? Did I win?
You did win.
Okay, my question.
Okay.
How do you like our recording space?
I love our recording space.
I love our recording space too.
How do you like our recording space?
I really like it. This is what brings me to my question.
Okay.
We really enjoy recording outside in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So, come summer, and when we have...
Yeah.
We may have green grass. We may not have any grass, depending on what happens. Are you going to want to go back outside, or are we... Is this our...
This is it.
This is our space?
This is the recording studio.
All right. Here we go.
Can't you tell? It's got all the recording equipment stuff.
So I had a question. I mean, before you've taken all the recording equipment stuff outside. Every time we recorded, you hauled it all out and brought it in every time.
Yeah, but it's going to be so nice not to have to do that now.
I'm going to make sure that wasn't my buzz. It's
That's my
5:55.
buzz. It's going to be so nice to not have to worry about it anymore,
We
right?
got a bunch of fives, yes.
Just how we can sit down and record now.
It's nice.
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
Although I will miss recording outside, and I'm sure at some point we will.
Just to get a little...
For some reason,
Yeah.
right? Eventually we'll be back on the road and we'll do some remote
Yes.
from the back of the van episodes or up in the mountains, right? We're going to go hike this year.
Yes, we are. We're going to. I need to. I need to see that lake.
Right.
I've never seen it.
We live at the base of these beautiful mountains, and up at the top of the mountains, there's a lake, surprise, surprise, that is formed from all the snow melt every year. So it's just a little tiny pond. Really, it's not really a lake, even though it's called a lake. Because you think lake, you think big old body of water. It's not that. But it's very, very beautiful. And it's up in this nice little secluded spot, almost right at the top of the mountain. And it's not that bad of a hike, and we should totally go up there.
I didn't even know it existed until you and I got together. And I've still yet to see it.
Really?
Really?
You grew up here and you didn't know?
I grew up on the other side. I was on the other side of the tracks. The other side of the mountain. There wasn't a lake on that
There's
side.
no lakes over there.
We got a little reservoir.
There's a desert over there.
Yeah, there is a desert.
Yeah. So we'll definitely go up there, and I think it would be fun to take, probably not this entire setup, but, our modified.
We're gonna need to get
We'll
a
take the
couple
table
donkeys.
up there. How funny would that
We
be?
need some pack mules.
That'd be so funny. But that would be fun, I think. So we'll definitely
be
record
fun.
outside again one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Right now, if we're quiet, you can hear the neighbors cutting shit in their front yard because they're getting their kitchen remodeled.
Different neighbors, not the neighbors we heard during the summer cutting up shit for the
That's
deck that they were
right.
making.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so even bringing the old studio inside did not eliminate all outside sound, but
It eliminated a lot of it.
I
Do you know what
majority of
I
it.
don't miss?
what?
The neighbors' dogs.
I don't miss them
still-
either.
They're everyone go outside and they see me. They're like, meow, 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 meow. I won't do it anymore than that because there's Converse that actually barked on the podcast.
It's good. I want to hear it again.
No, I don't miss them.
No, I don't either.
Yeah,
But we're inside, so we don't have to worry about it.
We are.
Yeah, and we are troopers today,
Yes, we are.
Starship Troopers. We are not forcing ourselves, but we are
Embracing
strapping on our
strength.
big girl pants.
Our big girl pants. Is that a fat joke?
It's not a fat joke. And recording this episode when we are not in the best of health right now.
We're not optimal.
Yeah, this isn't the top brass on this episode, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it work.
I might lay down for part of it and just like move
Take
the
a nap.
mic and like try and talk.
Last week when we were doing some intros, you totally popped your feet up on the table.
I was
and
so comfy.
moved the mic back, and that's the.
It's not going to be like a lounge. This one might be a face plant and just kind of like lay there with the drool. I'm just like,
Yeah, I would love to be drinking beer right now, but
You're drinking tea.
delicious elderberry.
Echinacea, eucalyptus, thyme, whole bunch of. It's a concoction.
Have
You're
you
drinking
always?
a lot of herbs.
Have you always been a tea person? So just so people are aware,
I'm not.
I'm going to describe you first and foremost.
Oh, okay.
You're
Describe me. Is this a game?
you're a beautiful woman.
Oh, yeah.
You are a what's the word? You're an alchemist, and that's not the word though. what's the old school, oh my goodness, where you got to go to not the pharmacist, but is it the alchemist?
That's what I use.
What's another word
Alchemy?
for it? No, like
Alchemist. Are you thinking apothecary?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're totally an apothecarist.
Is that a word?
No, it's not. But you're super good when it comes to mixing and blending and all that kind of stuff in regards to pretty much everything.
Everything.
Right? Everything.
Thank you.
And that
I like mixing and blending.
Yeah, and it crosses over to teas very, very well.
I really like it.
But you haven't been a tea person your whole life?
I really liked Crystal Light. I called that tea for a long time.
Definitely not tea.
No, it was like Crystal Light iced tea. That was the thing. No, I was not a tea person my whole life.
When did you start this whole thing? By this, I mean, like Steph will not gather. It's like she's out with, flowers in her hair in the fields, gathering up herbs and spices. That's not what it is. Although you totally are that type of person. But loose leaf teas and different blends and even like the old mortar and pestle and grinding up your own stuff and mixing it.
I use that for food. I don't use that for tea.
Sometimes you do.
Because the powders, well, if it's like super, like cloves, I will sometimes. But I just throw them all in. It's a chunky beef stew is what the tea is. I don't know. It started.
Is it since us?
It started with, I think it was right before us.
Yeah.
Because I used to have like little teas. Like I would get the tea bags. And it was never, I would always mix them. Because I would want different flavors or different benefits. So
you've been mixing teas for a while?
Just for a little bit, yeah. I don't think it was long before I met you, but it was pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you think, like there's a stereotypical thing that exists where people feel like they have like some sort of spiritual awakening, some sort of, sometimes it's as drastic as like a near-death experience or something like that. But when do you think you began like if we just really look at it from a very classic stereotypical shift of you were heading in this one direction and just strictly spiritually meaning, right? And then you shift and now you're headed in this other direction spiritually. When did that take place, you think?
I don't know if that's cut and dry.
I know it's not. I know it's not that cut and dry. It's not that black and white. But kind of like in your mind, when did the journey into your greater spiritual self really kick into high gear or really kind of take off? And by that, I mean, it's like I feel like there's definitely a distinct moment where it shifts and you start going in a different direction than the direction that you were previously headed.
It's zigzagged.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I'm having such a hard time breathing.
Are you okay?
I talk too long and then I have to.
Don't worry, future guests. These will be disinfected.
We're not sick. We're fine.
We're fine.
We're fine. We'll take a nap.
It's fine.
So you've zigzagged.
I've zigzagged. I've had things come up since I was tiny. I've told you about some of those with the having family members that have passed I'd never even met talk to me, and having my family kind of weirded out by it. There was a part of my life where I felt very drawn. I was really young and I felt very drawn to, I'm sure I don't know what it was. I was going towards pagan and Wiccan, and my first tarot deck was are you going to take a picture? I'm so nervous. I'm sitting here like, hold on.
You're good. Keep going.
Was a Wiccan deck. And I was getting pretty deep into that for a little while. And I was by myself in that. And so I was I don't even know how I was like accumulating these things, because I grew up on the side of a mountain and we don't even have a stoplight. It was all dirt roads, but somehow I managed to find it getting away from a military base. I don't know how I did it, but things just started coming to me. And I'm sure if I could remember, it would make sense, but I can't remember right now. I just know that things started coming to me. And then I got scared. I thought it was bad. My mom got me a blessing, and And I started thinking I was making mistakes and it was bad. So I just got away from it all and I shunned everything and I turned off all that stuff in me. And it was bad. And I was very sure that I was a dark, evil person because of the things that would happen and things that I would see. And then from then on, when things would happen, they were scary. They were very scary. So when did it start to come back? I had little moments. But the moment that's sticking out is when it first started coming back was you and I, we went to, I think you took me to a monastery.
I remember that.
Yeah, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Which girl, right? And I had wanted to get you.
Go ahead.
I wasn't familiar with archangels at that point, but I was familiar with the saints. And I wanted to get you a Saint Michael pendant so bad for protection. And you made it very clear all the time, very staunch, that you had, like, you didn't believe in, you were atheist, you didn't believe in the religion, you didn't believe in...
Did I say I was atheist?
I think so.
Wow.
You were like, you don't believe in God, you don't believe in any of that. You were just very, very dismissive. And I saw one there and I held it and I was sad because I wanted to get it for you. And I put it back because I knew that wasn't your thing. And you came around the corner and showed me the one that you had found and that you wanted. And there was something in that clicked where I was like, it's okay. And you're open to it. And that started like forming in my head that maybe it's okay. And then there's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that you were really unaware of.
Like what? What happened behind the scenes? You master apothecarian.
Yeah.
I think this is a first.
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, don't be uncomfortable.
I'm getting really hot. I'm getting really so I'm gonna turn off my heating pad from my back. Everything's fine. It's like really hot.
What happened? What did you do behind the scenes? I'm super curious now.
I know, but I'm like, you're wrong. You're stupid. My goodness.
You don't. Well, yeah, you do have to share. I'm totally just going to make you.
I'm really uncomfortable.
That's okay. Don't be. Is this the first episode with your glasses?
Yes, it is.
You look so cute.
Thank you. We'll see. I think I'm really getting overheated.
You're having a...
Don't you dare say that shit. Was that about to come out of your mouth?
Just panic attack.
It's the heating pad. My ass is on fire.
Your ass is on fire.
My ass is on fire.
In so many ways.
I started having conversations and calling and talking and asking, and it was behind the like quiet and wanting guidance and for so many different reasons, and just started the process of opening up. And
when you say opening up, what do you mean?
Like listening to the things that were happening instead of being like, it's completely crazy.
Okay, opening up to kind of more like metaphysical space and spirituality and things that exist, right?
Yes, but I didn't have those words for it. It was just listening and asking and receiving things and being scared and making like jumps and hoping for you. I wrapped you up in a lot of light. Yeah, you got a lot of light bubbles, a lot. And I didn't freaking know. I just didn't know. And then you and your mom took off on your little journey. And once I started getting brought along with that, then it started opening up in more ways where things that I didn't know what was happening were then making sense, because I didn't have a place of, how do I say it? I didn't have any like points of reference. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any. So these things were happening, but I didn't know what they were, other than I was like here, but also keeping it secret, because there was still that really big part of me that thought, I'm bad.
Yeah,
this is bad. Crazy. And no, just the evil. You know, a lot of the crazy came up, and there's still that with the questioning. But when things happen that you can't dispute, then I thought evil. And so it was really scary. So I'm crazy, I'm evil, I'm bad, everything. I just shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be here.
You're none of those things.
I believe that. I believe that.
Yeah.
But I didn't believe that. And so with that, I started getting points of references and things were making sense. And I wanted to dig into more things. And it went from there. So I then went from being just like, I don't know, I'm over here doing stuff. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have things talk to me. I have no idea what's happening. And to, oh, this is what the light around people means. And this is like, there were so many things that I didn't know. And I don't know that I would have found that. I don't know if I would have got that point of reference ever. If I would have, I don't know that I would have ventured there because I was so scared of myself. Because I had my stuff in like my interpretation of it, what I allowed my brain to see, and then trying to balance between, am I evil or is this, not knowing what was going on. I very much believed in Jesus and God, and I wasn't a religious person, but I was very, like, there was a lot of things that I just didn't know and I couldn't explain, and I didn't have any points of reference. And I don't think I would have went and sat in a room with a bunch of weirdos if it wasn't for you. So
if I wasn't already sitting in that room
and then
with those weirdos.
And I was just surprised that you went to that. So I don't know. I probably would have ended up there, but I don't think I would have ended up there and got the reference that says, hey, all of these things. And then it switched. It went from I'm crazy and evil to the opposite end of, oh, I'm never going to be good enough. I don't deserve to do this. I'm never going to be able to do these things. So
how funny is your brain, babe?
Okay, that's enough. I'm really embarrassed, and I think I'm loopy. Like,
I'm
giving you too much.
You're not giving, what do you, this is too much content.
It is too much content, and it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't really fit into our, like, so there's mine.
What do you mean it doesn't fit into our what?
I've also collected rocks my whole life.
Right.
So thought animals talk to me, but not like physically. I didn't think they were forming English words at me. I just thought that there was some connection.
Do you think it's a safe bet to say that both of our individual spiritual journeys, right? I still kind of I'm not the biggest fan of that verbiage, but would you say that our spiritual journeys began with each of us finding each other? Like that was a big catalyst moment, obviously, for many, many things, like our lives changing in multiple ways. But do you feel like that was another aspect of it? That at the same time we were like finding each other in a sense, as well as finding this deeper meaning to things?
I do.
I do too.
I think that's also when I started to break the generational chains and trauma and do things different. Is when that, because I was very much in line with
everything before that. Yeah.
What has been done, what was being done, what would have been done, and got in and went.
I don't remember just now as you were kind of sharing and telling your stories. That made it sound terrible.
Yeah.
Steph's stories. Okay. Story time with Steph. That definitely should be a thing.
Story time with Steph?
Story time with Steph.
I don't know if you're making fun of me or
I'm not making fun of you at all. You were referencing the thing that I did with my mom. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. I know my mom found that. I know that she was like, hey, do you want to come check this thing out? And this thing it was just a group that met once a week, like on Monday nights. And it was a small group of people that got together and learned and discussed and shared in regards to the space of like spirituality and energy work and healing and the metaphysical and all sorts of different things. So each night would have some different topic, or sometimes there'd be somebody that would come in and teach something or discuss something. It was just a really open place, and she found it somehow. I don't know how. And for whatever reason, I decided to go with her, and I don't remember why. I don't remember what the reason, other than I don't know if I was going to like support her. I don't know what the fuck it was. I really don't remember. And then that was just such a beginning, a different perspective at looking at literally pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Right. It shifted up so many different ways that I looked at things. And I was a cop at the time. Mm-hmm. I was definitely, entrenched in the realm of law enforcement and being a police officer and doing all of that kind of stuff. And then suddenly everything became so eye-opening. And for me, I know that like all of that played a huge role in the way that I saw not just you, but also us, and the way that I saw our relationship. Because there were so many things. Yeah, there were so many things about like, I mean, you know, not having the words for him at the time and things like that, and whether or not the words were really applicable now, it doesn't really matter, but having so many different synchronistic things around you and with you, and just really feeling way different with you and around you and connected to you than I ever had before. And so I think it was definitely part of whether it's the plan or part of where we were headed or part of what the trajectory for you and me, you know, that all played a role, obviously in some way, shape or form. But I think it's cool. Yeah, I think it's really beautiful. Like looking back now, we've been together almost 10 years. And I just think it's beautiful.
That's so cool.
You know, I think it's super fascinating, but also it's just simple. Like it just makes sense. Of course, that's the way it happened. And of course, that's what happened, right? Because of who you and I are, and because of our connection, and because of our love and all that kind of different stuff. So it's neat.
It's very cool.
What were you going to say?
I just had another weird memory pop in my head. And it's funny. It was like the first time that I had a face gazing experience. That wasn't with myself. Because there was times you would see, like, I would see things change in the mirror. Again, that would go to evil, right?
The devil.
Well, that was, you know, anything that you saw on TV, anything that was coming up wasn't a good thing. It was bad. And then when you have, you know, something happened where you explain it to your mom in a panic and you feel like your body is expanding and growing, and she's like, we need a bishop. I'm like, oh God, I am the devil. But it was scary.
Yeah.
Like it was super scary. And I keep thinking of all these things that happened. And I wonder.
Do you wonder why?
Is it who wrote the book? Book? Never mind. The book.
Who wrote the Book of Love?
I wonder if I would have ended up like in a mental institution. Like, think about it. I'm hearing things and I'm seeing things and seeing people's faces shift to new faces. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I was like, had I not been able to get some guidance at some point, which I wonder if that's another thing, because there's times that I struggle with eye contact. Yeah. And if I get really close, it would, I don't know, it just opens up so much. I think I would have ended up in a mental institution, and I think I would have been lobotomized. You would not have ended up in a mental institution. I totally was on my way to the insane asylum.
Well, that's the idea. Like, there's some people that believe that is what schizophrenics are, where they're not necessarily suffering from schizophrenia. They're just connected in a different way. And the things that they are seeing, the things that they are hearing.
Well, I think it depends. I think schizophrenia is a real thing, and I
is
think
it though?
I think so. I
Hold
think
on,
if
let
you're
me put on my devil's advocate
do
pants.
it. I think if somebody
and take my pants off and put on my devil's advocate pants.
All right, where's my devil's advocate pants? Because I can also wear pants. If like you're getting voices that are like, kill yourself, kill somebody else, I think you need help, and it's okay. Go seek that help. There is no shame. You deserve help. You are a good person and you deserve help. I don't think that means you're spiritually and like having this thing. Maybe. I don't know.
Whether or not
I don't think so.
I mean, spiritual enlightenment is just a term, right? But what if it's just a connectivity to other dimensions?
Well, maybe that's a dimension that you want to steer away from.
Could
so maybe you
be.
should find another dimension,
right? Another dimension to listen to, or better yet, just the one that you're currently.
I don't know. I think it's multifaceted.
Lots of layers.
I think there's schizophrenic people that need help, that need medication.
I'm not saying mental illness isn't a thing, and that schizophrenia is just enlightenment, and people hearing voices is just tapped into some other vibration.
And I think there are some vibrations that are tapped into that have been labeled schizophrenic.
Yeah.
So I think it's both.
Well, it's like the witches, right? Back in the day,
That's what I'm saying.
you know, they burned all them poor witches because they were just being witches. Don't you know?
Wow.
Is there a whole nother topic there?
I think that's a whole other topic.
You don't want to go there now? You don't want to talk about the witches?
It was a lot of... okay. It was a lot... Okay, no, not right now.
To misogynistic patriarchy?
A little bit.
A lot bit. I don't remember a lot of male witches getting burned at the stake.
That actually happened. A lot of them, they would use that excuse for... Are you okay?
Yeah. It's just the bottom of the tea.
The bottom is the good part.
It is the good part.
Tell them it's good.
It's good. Male witches.
That were black, that they would use that as an excuse so they could wipe them out yet another way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they would. It was just a lot of stuff. I used to have, why not be weird, right? I used to have.
I'm sorry. Have you not been sitting here for the last 20 minutes? Have you?
Okay,
what about the last
mind.
230 plus episodes? Baby, you get to be weird. Of course you get to be
I'm
weird.
too embarrassed now. I just
Don't be embarrassed.
It's too late. I feel stupid.
Don't feel stupid.
I can't help it.
You can. Just keep going.
No, I can't now.
Okay.
Thank you.
The whole idea that spirituality and the shift and change, right, that people talk about and that we've just talked about. I think that I remember going through it. I remember suddenly everything became like I just became so incredibly focused on everything was energy. Everything became about energy. Everything was
Energy is love.
Energy is love.
Here we are.
Everything was chakras and energy and connectivity and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And so I also had to not just look at everything in that way, shape, or form, but I wanted everybody else to look at things in that way, shape, or form.
Oh, yes.
And that's like anything else. And I think that people in the spiritual community tend to do that, but it's no different than anything else, right? People get not stuck, but people get wrapped up and caught up in things that they're excited about and things that they're interested in, and they want to share that, especially when it has such a massive impact on their life. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
That's one point, yeah.
Is there another point?
There's a lot of toxicity.
Yeah.
And a lot of, you have to do it this way. And if you're not doing it, like a lot of manipulation and just a lot of harm and a lot of hurt, that abuse of power that is being played around in a lot of...
One of the things when it comes to like toxicity that you talk about, or that you just mentioned, I think about how everybody gets super wrapped up in like, so this is obsidian. We have obsidian on our table along with some, that's natural stuff we found. What is it, babe? Quartz. That's some good quartz. What's this one?
That's citrine.
Citrine. So we look at citrine or we look at obsidian and we say they are for X, Y, and Z and to be used in these specific ways, right?
To a point.
To a point, but there's people that believe that that's it, that that's how they're supposed to be used. And if you don't use them that way, well, then you're not using them correctly.
Yes.
And potentially dangerous.
Yes, you cause harm. You're
Like,
evil.
You are. You're going to cause harm if you don't use it in this way, or if you don't cast your spells in the correct way, or if you don't do this, that, or the other in the ways that we have been taught or have been handed down from generation to generation. I got really tired of all of that shit.
Yeah.
And I got really tired in the limiting belief system that people use, even when it comes to like the belief system that there are no limits.
Yes.
Right? That energy and spirituality and the universe is this massive, expansive thing that has no limit, but yet we still keep it super small and make it very, very tiny for people. And if they want to stretch outside of that, they're doing it wrong. Well, that's not how you do it. You need to do it this way if you want to do it the right way. Well, that might be the right fucking way for you to do your shit in your fucking world over there.
Yeah.
But in my world over here, we do things way different. Super, super different, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Which leads me to, like, everybody's own reality is real.
That's true.
Right?
Everybody's own reality is real, and nobody's reality is the same as anybody else's.
And nobody's reality is wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Which means nobody's belief system is wrong. No.
I feel a little hypocrisy stirring up in my belly. I'm like, I think some people are wrong.
If your belief system is what you form and base your reality upon, your reality's not wrong. Neither is your belief system, because it's yours and it's your reality.
Yep.
So we got to let them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We got to.
I think that obviously you can't.
Gotta let them have those.
Doesn't mean that you can't be, that you should be, fudge.
Oh yeah, fudge.
Fudge just came out of my mouth.
Oh yeah.
There's the part of like, let people be who they are. But then I think about.
I think it's the lemon.
Oh, well, it's because I didn't stir it. I told you I forgot. I brought the lemon.
Yeah, that's all. So I'm just getting all the lemon.
Okay, quit making faces at my tea.
It's so good. It really is.
You can get it in bulk at ENERGYISLOVE.podcast, okay?
That would be so cool.
Right?
You could totally make some tea blends and sell them on the website.
Yeah, I feel like we don't have the right tax codes for that.
Well, if only we could figure that out. What were you saying?
I don't even remember. No, I think that there's some things that need to be changed.
Only when they affect other people.
Yes.
Your reality gets to be your reality. Your beliefs get to be your beliefs. But if you want to infringe upon mine and alter and change my beliefs, then we have a problem.
Okay, I'm on board with that completely.
That's it.
You don't have to believe in things, but when you make other people wrong and hurt them and criticize and put them in dangerous situations because they are not conforming to your beliefs, then I have a problem with that. So I don't care what people believe on their own, but I do absolutely care when they start hurting other people with their beliefs.
Right.
So that's the difference. Thank you for...
That's the only thing that we need to focus on.
Yeah. I was like, I have a problem with that.
But then...
How
do we come up with a set of common beliefs that we rule by?
I don't feel like... I don't know. I don't know that that's a thing. Maybe it is. I think we just have to look out for other people and make sure we're not hurting other people. But if we see somebody being hurt, that we do something about it.
Do what you want. Believe what you want. But if those actions and or your beliefs affect other people, then you risk having them taken away from you. Meaning like your freedoms and your...
Are you like doing a new law here?
I think so.
Okay.
I think this is going to be...
I just spilled tea.
In the reality that we design and create, it's going to be rule number 1.
I feel like we have a lot of protecting that we need to do for people right now.
Do we though?
I feel like it.
But what if in their reality it isn't that way? What if that's only in your reality? And in doing so, you would then infect... I'm sorry, not affect. Not infect. I'm
fucking evil.
No.
Jesus.
No.
Well, I know a lot of Christians think I'm evil.
A lot of Christians do not think you're evil.
Oh my God, yes.
Christ almighty.
Exactly.
If you're a Christian and you're listening, we love you. No, but you don't get to take that belief that we need to help a lot of people or that people are in need of a lot of help and then go out and influence other people.
True.
Unless they want your help.
And what if they do?
Then
what
give
if
it.
They don't know how to ask? Yeah.
What if they don't know how to ask? We're going down rabbit holes that aren't ever going to end.
What is this podcast?
So this is the Energies Love podcast was started back in 2016.
No, I feel like this is like, what is our topic? What is happening?
It was just a question that popped into my head.
Okay.
That's all.
We're doing good. We're rambling so hard. We are making content for you.
We're doing more than just making content.
I feel like that's my capacity right now. I feel like I'm not sharing anything other than just content.
I have something in the news.
Okay. Oh, I know what it is. This is going to go to my wanting to help, isn't it?
I don't know if it is or not.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm going to pull up the news article.
Was it something like 50 to 23?
No, it has nothing to do with that man anymore. I'm so fucking over. I could give two shits.
No, I'm not talking about the impeachment bullshit.
Oh, what
where he got acquitted. About? I'm talking about. Oh no, we'll see if you pull it up.
50 to 26.
Is that what it is?
Well, I don't know what that is. What are you talking about?
On how something was passed. Anyways, let's see what you come up with. I don't want to sit and play the game. Let's see what you come up with. If it's the same thing, I'll be like, that's it. And if it's not, I'll be like, that's not what I was thinking.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I'm getting tired.
Despite, this is the headline
Despite.
from some news article.
I don't think it's the same thing.
Okay. Despite chronic struggles with sexual violence in Utah, lawmakers in the state have rejected legislation that would have changed the state's health education curriculum to teach consent and prevent unwanted sexual behavior. So our beautiful legislature here in this wonderful, beautiful state of Utah voted down voted down all they wanted to do was incorporate the teaching of consent into our sexual education that we teach, children that are having sex, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that are very much in the process of having sex and or going to be having sex. We decided, no, we should not teach them about consent at all. What do you think about that, babe?
Oh, I have so many thoughts.
First off, did you know that? Had you seen that news?
No, I hadn't seen that. Okay. That's not what I saw. And of course, Utah, of course. Our child was taught to ignore consent and what you feel, and was also taught that somebody else's consent is mean to you.
I remember.
In junior high. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that at a school dance. Yeah.
Say yes, even if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Say yes. That's what. So I'm not surprised. It is. I'm angry.
It's pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, I am. It's hurtful. That's why I have told. That's what we say. Don't send our kids to sex ed. Don't listen. I just told Asher the other day, whatever you heard at school is sex. I don't remember how it came up, but I'm like, whatever they taught you in sexual education, just forget. He's like, okay, 5th grade, I'll forget that. Made a smart ass comment, but they teach you nothing.
Yeah. Nothing of value.
Nothing of value. They teach abstinence and that girls are shameful and boys they don't have a mind of their own in a sense. And the girls are the ones that tempt the boys. Stevie's a part of her sexual education. They had a speaker come to the school and berate them about abortion and how wrong abortion was and how it was like the Kanye West thing. She was like, I was almost going to be and I wasn't. So that was the thing of like, you do not ever. And that was the sexual education that they got. They brought a speaker in to be like, this is something you can never do. Don't ever do this.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's harmful. And my knee-jerk reaction is, well, of course not. Because we want the people in power want to be able to keep abusing the powers, and the people in the churches. I don't even care if I offend people in churches anymore.
Why are you worried about
Because I have felt
anybody?
bad. I don't want to be offensive, but you know what? I don't care.
Yeah,
I
we don't
don't
need to
care
care
anymore.
about...
You abuse and destroy people. You teach children, boys and girls, that what happens to their body by you, in person of power, is their fault. No. Oh.
Do you remember ever having a conversation about consent growing up?
Never.
Right?
Never. I was taught that I had to be careful and I had to be afraid. Mm-hmm. And turns out they were right. I had to be careful and I had to be afraid. And that I needed to watch where I was at. I needed to watch what I was wearing. I needed to watch the environments I put myself in, because I was responsible for putting myself in situations. I needed to watch what I was wearing if I chose to have any alcohol or drugs at any point, then I was not going to be in control. So basically everything that I did was setting myself up to be violated. And that's what I needed to watch for. It wasn't about consent. It was about making sure that I was doing the right things that didn't put myself in those situations.
That's
so
frustrating.
What I learned. Ugh.
Yeah, it's so asinine. It's asinine too that like something, I read the specifics. I won't go into it on this because it's going to take a while to find it again. But it wasn't even like, okay, State Representative Carol Spackman Moss, a Democrat who sponsored the legislation, said the bill, it was House Bill 177, said the bill would have updated the state's sex ed curriculum to include information about consent, which the bill defines as freely given, informed, and knowledgeable agreement either to do something or for something to happen. It would have taught students how to understand and communicate other people's boundaries without shaming victims. And it would have provided sexual assault resource strategies for survivors who could use them to address the physical and psychological effects of sexual assault. Well, it kind of only makes sense that that would have been included and taught to our children and should have been from day one.
As a man, as a boy growing up in the state, did you ever get any conversations, any talks about consent?
No, of course not.
What was your experience? Like, I kind of gave you what I was taught. What were you taught?
Sex ed, the curriculum back in the day, and it's not much different now because I remember going to it with Asher in fifth grade. Super basic. You get a boner. You might have some sort of ejaculation event in the middle of the night. Your body's changing. Put on some deodorant.
Yeah.
That was the beginning. And then I don't remember. Now they have like a follow up, in seventh grade, like 5th, 7th or something like that. I don't remember what the breakdown is.
I think there was a whole class that he was supposed to take.
And we just opt him out of it.
We were going to opt him out of it, and then the pandemic hit. He didn't have to go.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, whew.
But I don't remember much about sex at all. It was more about, back then they called it maturation. Fifth grade maturation or whatever. Had nothing to do with sex or anything. It had only to do with puberty.
Your period.
And your body's changing. And yeah, girls get periods. And, that was it. And I think, those generic pictures of the reproductive system that
are very accurate.
Leave you wondering what the hell is going on. So of course not. And we didn't have the internet back then. So everything was hit and miss, trying to figure it out. Literally.
Yeah. My mom tried a little bit and the level, because now she's going off of what she's been taught, right?
Which was even worse.
So she bought a book, and I remember her reading a book to me, and it definitely was
it a book specifically to read this to your
it was
teenage daughter?
Say where babies come from.
Oh, okay.
And it was the line, when a mommy and daddy love each other very much, they give each other a special hug.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
Because I was just like, it's not what we're talking about at school.
Okay, special hugs. Got it. Don't hug anybody. Can manage that.
So, yeah, it was very much there was no.
Yeah, it's not surprising, but it's very, very sad and disappointing, especially in what we are now in the year 2021. And even after everything that's taken place in this country in the past 5 or 6 years in regards to the Me Too movement and everything else, that they're like, consent, really? We should teach that? That's probably not a big deal.
I'm curious about other states, because I know that so much of this state is ran by
the Mormon Church.
And it is very much and
they pretend that it's not.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
They teach women are inferior, that you need a man to get into whatever the fucking levels are, because there's levels of heaven. There's levels. Are you a good enough person? And you need a man to get there, and you're supposed to keep yourself pure, and there's no sex ever, and you're supposed to keep yourself covered up. But then once you do get married, because now you may be worthy, if you find yourself a man that will marry you, then you have to do everything. And there's just so, it's very, 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 very. So I'm curious if it is so shut down because of the Mormon religion, or
it's 100% because of the Mormon Church.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. That's my assumption. Is it like this in other states? Do they
it's
teach
probably like this
consent?
In other Republican dominated states for sure.
So I want to know where they realize that the consent is important, and that it's not something that is taught extracurricularly. Hopefully it's in college campuses. When you have some liberal colleges that are like, okay, this is an issue. We're sick of rape happening all the time, and you can't report it because campus police hide that shit. So is there areas where it is actually taught in elementary and high school? The consent is right? So that's what I want to know. Where is that? Is this something that Mormons are using to further abuse? I can't do it. I'm really, I don't know.
You're getting all hot?
I am.
Drink your water.
I'm so like, I've tried so hard to be not bashing. And I'm just like, I'm so done. I don't care. If you were a Mormon and you were offended by this, and I do some research.
This is from 2018. Only 8 states require sex ed classes to mention consent.
Okay. Only 8 states. So
only 8.
What are those 8 states?
It's from 2018. I'm not going to go in and try to pick it apart and see. It's definitely something that needs to change, right? Obviously. It's so asinine.
See, this is where...
But it's only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to sex education and the way that we deal with sex in this culture. And we've talked about it so much on this podcast.
Consent is...
Was this the... you said that this wasn't the thing that you were thinking? What was the thing? 56 to 23 or whatever.
So were they banned transgender females from... or transgender males from participating in female sports?
In the state of Utah?
In the state of Utah. Because Biden was going, were they being inclusive with transgender? And Utahns are like, not here, motherfucker.
Did they pass that House bill recently?
They banned, so they would be banned from participating.
Transgender males cannot participate, or quote unquote males, right? Cannot, because, I mean, if you're transgender, you don't really...
So transgender female, I think is the correct term. I apologize for using that wrong. So yes, transgender females are not allowed to participate in female sports.
They have to participate in male sports if they want to participate?
I didn't read further than that.
Okay.
So I'm believing that that's what it is.
So this is a very interesting topic.
Okay.
It's one that I agree with on both sides.
Okay.
Because they have, on the bigger scale, like in athletics, like, in... not necessarily quote unquote the Olympics, but like in weightlifting or in track and field or some of these other big events and things like that are Olympic sports. They've had some of this come up.
Okay.
And these transgendered females are coming in and just completely like beyond obliterating the competition.
Okay.
Right? How is that right? Like, where's the argument that that's fair? Somebody that has spent... I don't know, we'll just say 30 years of their life as a man. Maybe, right? This is all speculation, right? We're just talking in code theory here. But they spend the majority of their life as a man, and then they transition. How is it fair that they get to participate with women when they have, like, the skeletal structure, the muscle? Do you know what I mean? Men are obviously just bigger than women, period. There's no, I mean, that's just, genetics, right? How is that fair? How is that fair to the women that have, do you know what I mean? Like some,
I do know. I'm just waiting for my turn to talk.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I get it. So I'm just to be clear before, I'm going to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. When we're talking about weightlifting in the Olympics, because that's what you used as a reference. I'm just
throwing out random stuff.
So we'll just stick with what you used.
Okay.
Is there a height requirement? Or do they divide classes by height and body structure sizes in the Olympics?
I don't know. I think it depends on the sport.
Well, let's stick with your weightlifting theory. Okay. So powerlifting, weightlifting in the Olympics.
I don't think there's a height requirement.
There's not. So like when you have the males and the females, there's not like
males that
up to
are
5'5", up to 5'10",
correct,
up to 5.
Correct. No.
Okay. So if you have a 5'5" male, and a 6' male, who's going to dominate? When you have somebody with a structure has all the mass, does that mean that it's also
unfair?
Like, oh, you're too tall. Clearly there's some body differences here, and you've been really tall and broad your entire life, so it's just not fair.
Okay.
Because your argument is body size and structure.
Yeah, but it's not just, I mean... Yeah, it is essentially at the end of the day body size and structure, right?
And same with females.
Yeah, there's some...
All females are not little dainty. Men are not always bigger. We got some little men and some powerhouse women out there. So it just doesn't fit, I don't think.
Okay. But do you really think it's fair for the women, like in the track, we'll just say like in the track and field where, do you know what I mean? Like world records are broken by, and not even just by a few seconds, like just come in and completely... demolish somebody's record.
Yeah.
Is it fair for women to compete against that person, or for that person to come in and just be able to immediately, do you know what I mean? I don't think it's fair.
You don't think it's fair?
But I don't think it's fair either.
Well, if you can take it out and say that that's not fair, they're going to start stipulating so many different things on, well, what's the length of your legs? You can't come in because your body stature, instead of having a long torso and short legs, this one's coming up with a short torso and long legs, and their stride is just beyond yours. So that's not fair because your legs are too long, so you can't compete. Or your legs are too short, so we're not even going to look at you because clearly you're not going to be able to make it.
You know what I think is funny?
Is that what?
What?
What do you think is funny?
That you're right? I'll
Well,
agree
I am
that you're right. I'm not trying to argue that I am. I don't think there's a...
What's funny?
I don't think there's a really good solution to this problem.
I don't have it.
But I also don't think it's that big of a deal.
Okay.
Meaning
I
like...
do.
Well, what I mean is like... Sometimes I think we make bigger deals out of things than they need to be.
It's not a big deal to...
Hold on, just listen.
Okay.
I think the reality is it's not like suddenly we have hundreds of thousands of people that have transitioned and are wanting to participate in sports.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe we would someday.
I think yeah.
Maybe we will someday. But at this point in time, especially at the level of high school, it's not very many.
So why not just
Let them.
let them?
Exactly. That's
And-
what I'm saying is, why are we trying to legislate anything when it's like, well, if you're a woman now or if you're a girl now and you've transitioned and this is what you are, by all means, you get to participate.
It's just because of transphobia and homophobia and anything that isn't cis.
Well, to minimize it and think that it's only because of those things.
I think it's religious played.
I think that's definitely a factor in some situations, right? We can't just paint everything with the same brush and say that it's this.
I'm not. I'm just saying what it is.
I'm not painting anything. I'm
It's
just
hate.
calling
It's hate. It's fear. It's
calling
ignorance.
a bigoted asshole a bigoted asshole.
So that's what I think it is.
No, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. It's the same thing where it's like when everybody was having nightmares over who was going to the bathroom where. Not that big of a deal. Not a big deal at all, right? It's just not. Let people do whatever they want to do. Once again, as long as it doesn't infringe upon me. And then the argument is, well, of course it is. You know,
I've seen that recently, and it was like almost heartbreaking when I saw somebody that I saw a post when that was brought up the bathrooms and how disgusting it was, and men should not be allowed to go. Do you want men going into the bathrooms? They weren't even recognizing them as women at that point. It was like men should not be going in the bathroom of women. And they're not saying men should be able to go in the bathroom of women. They're saying women are trying to get the rights to go into the bathroom of women.
You know what one of the problems with this whole argument is, especially about the bathroom thing?
What's that?
Is that they look at men as just deviant fucking like animals that can't be controlled,
That's
right?
what they're taught, yeah.
Where it's like men, you know, you don't want men going in the women's bathroom.
Yeah, they can.
Bunch of fucking creeps in there. And that's men saying that about men. You know.
Well, maybe we should talk about consent.
Right?
Yeah.
Change the way that we view sex. Change
Quit
the way that
telling
we
men that
discuss
they're all
it.
evil, and maybe a lot of them that behave that way would realize there's other options.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
There are so many things. So many things that can't be fixed or solved, especially in a fucking podcast.
Right? I was not prepared for all of these things. I feel like I needed to have notes for this conversation.
Well, we'll definitely, I'm sure, talk about it at some other point. So these are the type of things that keep coming up on the show.
I also got it surprised on me. I got it I can't think.
Surprised on you?
Sprung on me.
Sprung.
Sprung on me. So I didn't even have, like you got, instead of my intellectual, let me look into things and give some feedback, it was like, you know what my reaction is? It's a fucking Mormons. Which I still think is.
It is, especially in this state.
Yeah.
There's so many things, other things on my list that I have to do more research because I jotted down little quick things. One of the things that I did want to talk to you more about, babe, that came up for me on the last week's episode with AJ and Derek was that whole idea. There was a part of the episode where we kind of got into the weeds of this and it really started to click some things in my head. And this dynamic of, I talked about how I treated women like shit growing up.
Yes.
Women that I knew liked me or women that like showed me any sort of affection or attention or, do you know what I mean? Anything at all. I just treated them like straight fucking garbage.
Yeah.
And then the ones that I liked, who kind of didn't really like me and didn't really show me a lot of attention or anything like that, I treated them with like the utmost, you know.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? Have you figured that one out?
My thought.
Uh-huh.
I think it comes down to self-worth.
Okay.
And I can tell you from my perspective of my experiences, and if it rings true for you, let me know. I was the same. I chased and cared and would make the effort and extremes for the guys that treated me like shit. I also thought that was my level of what I was good enough for. I was treated really good throughout my life. I had some confidence. I thought that was my level. And so that's where I was at. So I had to work to be there. And the ones that were really nice to me, that really liked me, nope, didn't get the fucking time of day. And I think there was also that part that scared me because I was garbage and I didn't want them to see it. And I knew that these good guys would see that. I don't know. So I didn't care. I didn't care if it was like, there was also the part that didn't trust it. Like I saw what love was. Love hurts. Love treats you like shit. And you have to work really hard. Love just doesn't come this way. So when they would come and have the ones that were kind of nice, they didn't matter to me. It was easy. I didn't trust it. I could only trust what I knew, which was the chaos. So I don't know if that's what you experienced. I don't know if that's what you looked at with your relationship with your mom and your dad, because you talked about that and you saw how your dad taught your mom and you're like,
yeah.
If there was that part, because the ones that liked you, it wasn't, I don't know. It's probably deeper than that.
Well, I think that's definitely a part of it, right?
Yeah.
I just think I'm having a hard time. I feel like there's some unknown thing there that I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not.
No, there probably is. There is for me too. Let me know when you figure it out.
But maybe it isn't that, maybe it isn't. There's times where I discover something in my past or I discover some new awareness and I make it seem like it's some big fucking thing and really it's not. And this is that. It's not that big of a deal. I don't behave that way anymore.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Me neither.
it's not the type of thing that really has any bearing on our life anymore. But I find it really interesting just from like this point of trying to understand myself that was very much the case for a very, very long time. And I feel terrible today, even though it's, we're 20, 30 years ago of treating women like shit.
That's funny.
And it's women that were nothing but sweet and kind.
Yeah.
And, not even women, girls, right?
Yeah.
Poor little girls that were just trying to be nice.
As you were a little boy.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel bad about the guys.
You don't feel bad about?
No, and that's like, obviously that's shitty on me. I'm just like, you were probably a douche anyways. I'm such a nice person. You were the first guy that I like. I'm never going to, I don't want this, sorry.
You don't want what?
This episode, I'm fucking pathetic.
No, you're not.
I am you're the first guy that I dare to date up.
Yeah.
And because before there was, nope. I would have found all the reasons to not like you, especially when you were trying. In fact, there was already all the reasons that I had. Like your name was Michael.
I wouldn't date down.
Yeah.
Like if we, and that's a terrible.
Did you fucking date down? Am I your date down? I know you're my date up, but you're not supposed to look at me as your date down.
No.
You're like, yeah, baby, I fucking really took a nosedive for you. So it turns out it worked out because we're all metaphysical and shit now.
That's the name of the episode, all metaphysical and shit. No, the women, the girls that liked me back in the day, I looked at them as dating down. Like if you look at it from that perspective, right? And that's a terrible way to classify people. It's a terrible way. They obviously weren't and we're not. I'm
talking about when I was a teenager. That's how, yeah.
Yeah. So I always tried to date up.
Yeah.
But then it was like.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there is big self-worth stuff there.
Yeah. So at least you, oh God, I don't know.
Well, we're not going to figure it out tonight.
I'm like, you wouldn't settle and I wouldn't stretch.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think that it really was a date up. I think it was people that there was a lot of good guys out there. There was a lot of good guys that were nice to me. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't know. I don't think I can help you on that because I have the same thing, but my experience is so different that I can't quite see yours because it's so, I don't know how to be unbiased in that situation and just see without my filters. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. I was just curious.
I can't help you. My filters are too dirty.
Your filters are awesome. Thank you for hanging in there with us for this past episode. If you're here till the end, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Like we said at the beginning,
we don't feel good.
We're definitely not firing on all cylinders, and we're gonna go lay in bed again for a while. Go follow us on Instagram if you haven't already, and for those that have, thank you. We're so close to our once we reach 100 followers on Instagram, keep in mind we just started the Instagram account, but once we reach that, then we're going to start doing some interviews with people there on Instagram and doing some Instagram lives, which will be fun.
I'm gonna wait till we feel all better though.
Right? Yeah, we are going to wait till we're better and can actually form sentences. And in the meantime, go subscribe on YouTube so you can watch all of these amazing things as
you don't have to watch this one though.
I'm
sitting here like bent over, like my back hurts, like I'm trying to stretch it out the whole time. It just hurts.
I love you, baby.
I love you.